Hi, everyone. I am super happy because today I have a very special guest. As you guys know, we hosted an event earlier this year, Mompreneurs, and I had some of the most amazing women as panelists, but I definitely felt that there was more to share, which is why we're creating this space. And my first guest is Amal Khalil. She is here with me today, and she's my first guest for this series. And she's also the first guest that I ever have at our Rate podcast studio. So it's a double win for us. How are you doing, my
I'm
dear?
good. Thank you so much for having me. This is really exciting.
I know. This is way overdue, first of all, because
Yes.
ever since I saw you last time, we've been talking about meeting up.
We have.
And I think the times that we've connected, the conversation's always flowing. So I'm excited to do this in front of everyone.
Me
And
too.
hopefully we can share the best of what it is to be a mother and an entrepreneur all at once. But before we get started and before I start asking questions away, I want you to tell me, how are you? How are you? Like, how really are you? Like, from a genuine place, what are you up to these days?
I'm really good. Very busy, which is always a blessing. Definitely adjusting to having a teenager, a full-blown teenager in high school with a demanding schedule. It's exciting. It's a little sad at the same time, if that makes sense, because I feel like he's growing up so quickly. So I'm trying to really enjoy those moments with him, before he's wrapping up with school and just starting his own path. But I've been really good. And I feel like I've been starting new ventures, such as things like this with you and, focusing on a couple other things with some other people. And I can say now that I'm really just in a really good, happy, peaceful state. And I really can't complain about that. And I feel like it took me a long time to get here, but, we'll probably talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, I've been good. How have you been?
I've been great. I'm excited to, like I said, create this space for
Yeah.
women. I feel like a big part of the challenge for me has been exactly that, balancing motherhood and being an entrepreneur and not forgetting about myself in the way.
Yeah.
But I want to talk a little bit, I want to focus on your motherhood journey because I
Okay.
feel like for us ladies, I feel like that's the most important role we play. And I want you to tell me a little bit about the story of you becoming a mom and what it's done for you. How has, being someone's caregiver, someone's everything, how has that changed you from the beginning?
So from the beginning, okay, so my son is 14. I had him when I was 25. Definitely a big change, probably the biggest change that a person can experience. I had him at 25 with my first husband. And, we faced challenges, but, we did not stay together. So I was a single mom actually for about 5 years, which was definitely hard. And I think there are a lot of unpeaceful, quiet moments that we don't talk about as single moms or moms that are just going through challenges. We're just going through the day-to-day motions, trying to make ends meet, trying to survive, trying to make sure our kids are happy and healthy and have what they need. And I definitely struggled in those 5 years. It was actually the first time I ever lived on my own, right? Because I got married. I moved in with my husband, very traditional for an Arab woman, right? An Arab Muslim woman. And then I moved out and got a place for me and my son. And it was scary, but also pretty empowering because I knew that I would be able to do it by myself. So, we lived on our own. It was hard. I was working actually as a paralegal full time in the city. So I would drop my son off at daycare at about 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. Drive all the way to the city, and then I wouldn't pick him up till about 6:30 at night. And the mom guilt was so real because, I had this little kid that I pretty much didn't see all day, but I had to provide for. So it was a challenge, but looking back now, I feel like it brought us so close together because in a way you almost feel like you're growing up with them, experiencing life on your own for the first time and still having this little person that you have to take care of. So when my son was a little bit older, I actually met my current husband now. We've been together, married for 6 years. So he's been a big part of my son's life. It's a really great blessing. And I got 3 bonus kids out of that. So we have a nice big family. And, blending a family is not easy. I'm sure a lot of moms that go through that struggle with it as well. Different dynamics, different upbringings, just, putting together families that were once part of other families, but we've made it work. Thankfully, everyone's gets along really well and everyone's great. And just, seeing my son grow over the years and kind of realizing that, man, I did a really good job. And I don't think I ever gave myself enough credit for that. I think I got so caught up in the day to day, I never sat back and said, oh, wow, like you made this person who's now semi-independent, right? Because he's not fully independent yet. But I think I had to go through those struggles to really appreciate where I am now and that I've helped mold this human into who he is. And my husband has been a wonderful part of it. And, his kids are all older now, they're adults. And it's just been a really great and very hard experience for me. But I think it's just taught me that I also need to slow down. I need to savor the moment. I need to enjoy, because looking back now, I'm like, oh my God, sometimes I've been so focused on my business, which isn't a bad thing, and my career, but have I been spending enough time with him? Did I spend enough time with him? Is it just my mom guilt kicking in, which I feel like we have probably for the rest of our lives? So I'm really trying to slow down and savor the moment more. I'm learning how to say no to certain things more, so I can spend time with my son. And I used to feel like that was kind of a failure as a business, but it's not, because I'm only going to have so many more years left with him where he's home and I have that time. But work events and things, they're always going to be there. There's always going to be things going on in the real estate world that I can put off in terms of, events and parties and this and that. So for me, I think it's just taught me patience and what's really important, probably the most.
I love everything that you're sharing, but you just gave me so much,
I did.
right? And there's so much in between that I know a lot of women can relate to, from being a single mom. Well, actually, let me take it even further than that, like from getting divorced.
Yeah.
Which that's a tough one.
For sure.
That's a tough one.
Right.
Ladies.
With a toddler.
Yeah. Getting divorced with a toddler, young at that. And I think that's where my story and yours relate a little bit, because I had my daughter, who is 16 now. I had her at 23. And actually, my daughters have Arab. She's half Egyptian and half Mexican. Obviously, I'm on the Mexican side. And I married very young. And I think that part of my life, I was really consumed in my ex-husband's world. Yeah. So not only did, was he a support financially for me, but his parents were a support financially for us. Yeah. And also emotionally, it was my full stability, right? So to come to terms that I had to walk away from probably the little bit of a stability that I've ever had in my life, because, my journey before I met him was one of challenges like many others. So being in that position where you have to walk away from what feels in some ways comfortable, but then it's not your place, it's very tough. And doing it with a little one is even tougher. And I know at one point you mentioned that it was a really big deal when you got divorced to not move back with your parents, but decide to live by yourself. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Well, for Arabs, Muslims, I would say culturally, it's expected that a woman is not really moving out until she's married, which I didn't do. And if she were to get divorced or anything, traditionally, they expect that she comes back, and I didn't. And I was really adamant about it. And full disclosure, I mean, my parents didn't take it well, right? We really butt heads about it. And it goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier today, that kind of push and pull between cultures. Yeah. Palestinian Muslim woman born and raised in Chicago who feels, okay, I'm an Arab, I'm a Muslim, I'm very proud of those things, but I'm an American, and there's that more Western influence too. So you're kind of, it's a struggle.
Torn in between sometimes.
You're torn in between. And I love my culture. I love my religion. I'm very proud. And anyone that knows me knows that I talk about it. So it was always, and it still is, right? I still struggle with it. It's kind of like, okay, there's things that I really, really love about being an Arab woman, you know, and there's things that I feel like for me personally, I'm not a big fan of. So I can choose the certain things that I like, and I can also choose to not incorporate the things I don't like, and that's okay. And I think, you know, in your 20s and your 30s, you're kind of feeling like, is it really okay that I'm not incorporating these things? What are people going to think? And as I've gotten older, the best thing you can do is not care what people think, but that's a hard thing to learn. So I think I still struggle with it sometimes, especially in raising my son.
Yeah.
You know, he's 100% Palestinian, Muslim. We know I raised him Muslim. We're all on board with that. And I think it's kind of like I want to loosen the reins a little bit and I want to let him figure out who he is. But there's certain things I want to instill in him that I feel like are important and give him that foundation, you know, and he does give me resistance on some certain things. And I kind of struggle with, okay, like what things should I pull back on? What things should I really try to enforce more? And I feel like when I've tried to push things harder, he's been a little more resistant. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of let it unfold organically. And he and I have had conversations and I'm like, you know what? I don't know what the right answer is. Because as a woman who's almost 40, I'm still trying to figure out,
Right.
you know,
And I think that's the tough part of being a parent, right? Like you're growing up yourself.
Correct.
And I'm right there with you.
I'm living life the first time too, right?
Yes. And I'm still trying to figure out if every choice I make is correct, right? So when you look at your child and you're like, how can you sit here and tell someone you got to go that way when you yourself are like, does he have to go that way?
Right.
Does she have to go that way? But, you know, I think that there's a beautiful thing about being exposed to different cultures and different ways of thinking. I think that gives us so much leverage.
Sure.
I agree with you. I think that I'm Mexican. I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
But the time that I had with my daughter's family, so her dad, her grandparents, it gave me a lot of groundness, right? I'm Catholic and I love what Islam preaches. And one of the biggest agreements that me and her dad had was that we were not going to impose and we were just going to let May grow up and just experience the best of both worlds, which is, you know, I think the option that we have. And just hope that she makes the choice that's going to feel right for her, which is very tough. You know, when it comes down to faith, that's very tough.
It is. And
that's a
personal.
big window, you know, and I struggle with it. You know, there was times where I was like, well, I'm very firm in my beliefs, but then I also want to teach my child to respect and to allow, you know, I can't take away who she is.
Yeah.
And I made that choice for her, right? Because obviously I chose to be with someone that was different and had different beliefs than me. And I think that one of the toughest things that we do as parents, as moms, is that we have to do a lot of selfless choices, right? And I think that to bring a family together, just like you have, right? Like you went through your own journey, finding yourself, finding your voice, doing things your way, having your son. And then you also met someone else, which I can also relate to that because I remarried and I'm very happily married now. And that was tough, right? Coming into a relationship with a child. And for me, I have huge respect for my daughter's family. So I was very adamant of like, I don't like problems. I don't like drama. I'm not going to punish my kid for the choices that I've made. And even though obviously, you know, I'm not like all in agreement with my ex-husband. Otherwise I'd still be married to him. But we obviously have differences and it's hard to put those differences to the side and do the right thing for your child. I think that's been one of the most courageous things I've done as a parent, where I had to bite my tongue and also let my child go and spend time with her dad. Like I really tried to never have a problem with that. And be very mindful of like the long-term goal of what I wanted it to be. And now I know not everybody has the luxury to do that because I do think it's a luxury in the midst of everything. But I feel like that will probably be one of the things that I'm the most proud of. And equal to that, to be able to start a relationship with my husband now and help them integrate to what their role is for each other, right? And while doing all of this, trying to build a career and find
business.
myself in business,
Yeah.
right? So kudos to you. Kudos to you for everything you've done for yourself, for your son, and for your new family. It's not easy. And if nobody's told you, you are definitely doing a great job, far beyond what people even imagine. But I want to know, when did Emma, the professional, start growing in the middle of that journey, of your personal motherhood journey? So when did you decide to become a realtor in the middle of all
So
of
I
this?
decided, I always wanted to be a realtor,
Okay.
right? Because my dad has been in commercial real estate for many, many years, and he's an entrepreneur, right? He's an immigrant entrepreneur that actually came from Palestine in the late 70s, went to Puerto Rico first, and then was there for a couple years before he came to Chicago. And he built a business, and he built, his entrepreneurship and everything from nothing. And I think growing up and seeing that, I've always admired him and that work ethic. So I always knew that I wanted to do something business related for myself. I never wanted to always work for somebody my whole life. That was never the goal. I started to get really, really burned out as a paralegal. And I was more frustrated with never seeing my son, right? And the weekends were just the crazy hustle bustle of, grocery shopping, cleaning, whatever. And my husband was like, you should do it. You should do it. You're just scared. And I was scared, right? I was scared about not getting a consistent paycheck. And I think that is the worry of a lot of people that are transitioning into a role where you're not getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. So I have to give him credit. He really gave me the kick in the pants and told me, you need to do this and you're going to kill it. And I'm here for you. And
Who said this?
my husband. So
Don't forget about your husband.
don't forget about your husbands. I know we talk about mompreneurs and all that stuff, but my husband has played a big, big role in my success and my delving into the professional side. So I started full time in 2018. And I just went for it. I was really, really nervous, and I started basically with the people around me, and that's usually where you start. Any sort of business is really honing in on those relationships with everyone that you know and letting them know, hey, I'm going in this direction. And, honestly, my first year in real estate, I think I closed maybe 3 deals, maybe 4. Nothing wonderful. And I was pretty bummed at myself because I'm an overachiever. And my husband's like, give it time, just like anything else, you have to build it. And I think the thing that has really done well for me is I genuinely care about people and building those relationships. And that's how I've become Amal the professional, and I did things out of my comfort zone, right? If you told me 5-6 years ago I'd be sitting in here doing a podcast with you or with, someone, I probably wouldn't have believed it. So I've had to constantly push myself out of my comfort zone, even recording on Instagram or social media. I hated the sound of my voice.
Which, by the way, you do amazing
Thank
job.
you. Thank you.
But got followers.
I would constantly make videos and delete them because I'm like, no, this is silly, or nobody wants to see this, or I don't like the way I look, and my husband was like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just be a regular person, and I think that's really what people want to see, So I started slowly, working on social media, just connecting with my community, connecting with people that I knew. And I feel like when your intentions are pure and you're genuine, your path will come, and I think that's what's happened over the years. I've built wonderful relationships with people. I've built a great social media platform. And it's not just looks, ask my clients. Do you feel like you have a great relationship with your realtor? Yeah, well, she's not just a realtor. She's someone that I consider a friend. She's someone that I know I can call if I have questions or if I have concerns, even if it's not real estate related, So I think being my genuine self and not being ashamed of who I am and where I've come from. And as you get older, you don't care if people don't like you.
You learn to get comfortable in your skin,
You
right?
do.
As
And
you
I
get
feel
older.
like, honestly, that didn't start happening for me until maybe my mid-30s, mid to late 30s. I'll be 40 in December. And I feel like in the last few years, I've been the most comfortable. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not for everybody. And that's okay. I'm not for everybody. Have a lot of followers, but I lose followers because maybe they don't like what I have to say, or they got sick of seeing me on their feed. And that's okay. You just have to take that with stride and move forward.
Yeah. No, and I think that like one of the biggest things in this industry is because we are meant to build our business around relationships. We get a little too hooked on what these relationships should look like.
Right.
And I think that, yes, I think in the beginning of any business, right, you become a little bit more, you're trying to find your people and you're trying to find your style. So you probably extend yourself a little bit more than you naturally would want to. But as you find your space and you grow into your capacity, because I do think it's a matter of capacity, right? Like I can completely relate. Like in the first few years, I only had a few deals under my belt. And I remember when I started as a lender, we have like the way lenders see their pipeline. It's like an Encompass. And I remember I had like 10 contacts in Encompass and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Because I could just see them add up and I was able to keep up with them, right? And I remember I did that. So I was like, I have 60 contacts. Now I have thousands.
Right.
And I'm like, it's not giving me, it should give me the same joy, but it's, the focus is completely different now, right? And I can say that the same way, the amount of time, energy, and emotion that it would take me to take care of 2 clients, now I can take care of 30. Right. And that capacity was only able to grow through experience and learning to choose myself and choose my clients and choose my partners. And it feels great now. And just like you, I think that when I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm not doing enough sometimes. And then I realize how much I've done. And I do have those moments where I'm like, you know what, you've done great, girl. And I love that you mentioned that, because I think one of the thing that most people struggle with is recognizing how much progress they've done.
Yeah.
Because even at the early beginning of your career, having 3-4 deals might not have seemed enough if you're quantifying deals.
Right.
But you made a big change in your life.
Yeah.
Right? You transition your mindset, your ability to dream bigger, to want more. All of that is also growth, and all of that is also expansion. It's not always going to quantify into transactions.
Right.
And I really do believe that the people that do the best in business is the people that work in themselves, and it's personal development. It starts inwards, then it's outwards. And for anyone's out there, if you think that focusing on just the business activities and pushing and having this like, the busy life, the grind culture, which let's talk a little bit about that. What do you think about that, especially for women, for moms?
Right.
Because I have a story. If we have time, I'll share it. But I think that this grind life is pushed down our throats. Yeah. And it's like hashtag team no sleep, real estate never sleeps. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a trap? Do you think it's a need?
I love to sleep. So, I think, again, people should do what works for them. And there's people that thrive off of that. But for me, I feel like when I was really, really in that grind hard culture, I wasn't happy and I still work really hard. But like I mentioned before, I've learned to say no to things that I feel like don't give me fulfillment. And that's a part of it. But, what makes me happy? I had to sit down with myself and say, what makes me happy? Like, do I love real estate? Do I love going hard for my clients and working hard off the clock nonstop, getting them what they want? Absolutely. That really does give me fulfillment. But I noticed when I was running myself into the ground, I was too tired to really enjoy the things that mattered to me. So I think I had to take a step back and say, what works for somebody else may not work for me and may not make me happy. And what makes me happy, I wouldn't say it's a work-life balance. I would just say it's more prioritizing the things that mean the most to you, and that includes, sometimes firing a client. Firing a client that is not realistic. I've been disrespected by clients before. I'm sure you can relate to stories like that. Telling people no, telling people, listen, we're not on the same page, and I think we should part ways. And I think that comes from growth, and I think it comes from experience and looking, hey, I'm investing so much time in this person, and I don't think it's going to get anywhere, and I don't think that what we're looking for aligns. And those are uncomfortable conversations to have with buyers and sellers, but sometimes you need to do them so you can fill your cup and focus on clients that you are aligned with. And so for me, that was a big thing, because when you're getting licensed, you're going to take every lead you can and you're going to run with it, because you're like, oh my God, I need deals, I need money, and whatever. And you come to realize that not all leads are good leads. Not all leads are genuine leads. And maybe you're not a good fit, and I was guilty of that in the beginning because, I wanted to close deals. And now, even as of a few weeks ago, I told a buyer, listen, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I've tried to have these conversations with you. You're not really grasping it. I think you should find someone else to work with. Again, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I wouldn't have guessed I would have those conversations with people. That gives me more time to focus on the clients that are realistic and, spend more time with my family instead of investing in somebody that is not realistically investing in themselves. And we're just not on the same page. So if I need to grind for a client, I absolutely will, and I won't complain about it. And seeing them happy and fulfilled fulfills me. But I think you need to pick and choose who you're investing with, who you surround yourself with. You lose friends, quote unquote, that were probably not really your friends anyways in the industry. And I think it's all about personal growth. It goes back to that, right? It connects to that, because you're trying to figure out your space and your place in the world. And, you lose people along the way, but that's okay. Whether it's clients, whether it's friends, it could even be family members that you've had to cut out of your life because you're not there anymore. So grinding, no sleep is not for me. I will work very hard, but I'll tell you this, Maggie, I'm usually in bed 9:30 every night.
Oh, I love that.
And I love that for myself, because you know what? I'm the best person. I'm the best version of myself when I'm rested. Now, if I need to stay up late, of course I will. But for me, waking up, feeling my best self is really, really important to me.
That's awesome. You're talking about clients, right? When you're talking about like letting go of people or a deal that does not align with you. And sometimes it's a deal, guys.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the deal that doesn't align with you, not just the client. I've had situations where I've had conversations with my clients where I'm like, okay, you need to not get that house.
Yes.
And I don't even feel right servicing you because I don't think this is a good idea. But letting go of business, letting go of clients. Also, there's a lot of people that are around you while you're building your business, from business partners to maybe friends to maybe family. And I think that I'm going to add a little bit to this. One of the biggest struggles that I've had in my career was all of the unhealthy attachments I have built as a person. And I can honestly say that because I had all of this unworked trauma and ways of visualizing what a relationship should be, I stuck around for a little too long, whether it was, I've had it with everything from clients to partners, to just people that I have to interact with, that I was just really trying to make it work in every way possible.
Right.
And it sucks so much energy out of me. And not to say that there's something wrong with them. It's just that we were just not aligned. And I think that if I could add to what you're sharing with everyone is, learn to let go. Like learn to let go. Learn to let go of if you're in the wrong company, if you're under the wrong mentorship, if you're around the wrong partnerships. In real estate, we have. This is a partnership, right? She's a real estate agent. I'm a mortgage lender. We obviously are seeking, we like to help clients. She has sellers that she helps as well. But obviously we try to help each other out when we can. There's your attorneys, there's your inspectors. And it's not uncommon that I talk to people in the industry and everybody has like a heartbreak story about a situation that didn't go the way they expected it. Or sometimes it's team members. I'm a big believer in building teams. And I'll share a little bit about that in a little bit. But even in the team, right, you have to always move with almost like a heart of a teacher, and understand that just like, how teachers have their students and they come and they go, but while they're with them in their classroom, they pour into them. But I think it is important to let go. It's important to let go of relationships, situations and anything that does not allow you to continue to move on and be the best version of yourself, because within that best version of yourself, you're going to touch many more people.
Yeah.
And if you're stuck trying to make something that it's not in season anymore for you, you're not going to be able to move on to the next chapter. And I feel like that's a huge advice for anyone in business, anyone that's watching this. And another thing that I want to add, because I'm a mom and I love deep. Okay. And one of the things that I also do is that I bring a lot of people into my family's world. Even, I'm not saying that they're in my home all the time, but I love to bring people together. And I've also learned that, like, you got to be careful with some of the bonds that you build and define what is a business partnership and what's growing into a friendship.
Yes.
Because that's a slippery slope. And I see it a lot. I see great agents working with maybe, it could be anything. It could be attorneys, it could be inspectors, it could be lenders, that sometimes it gets a little bit too personal. And all of a sudden you see that one is not meeting what the other one needs in business, but because there's a personal relationship, they have a hard time having those conversations.
Right.
And I've seen this happen a lot. So just wanted to touch base a little bit on that. But you're doing great things right now. You're doing great things in your space as a real estate agent. You're a top producer. You're managing, your social medias. You're like social media famous. I know I love everything you post and I follow you. And then obviously you have your responsibilities as a parent and as a wife, right? And all the other dimensions of you. How do you bring all of this, and how are you defining what enough is at work and what you're when you're giving yourself grace at home to say, like, I'm also here? Can we talk? I don't even know if I positioned that question. This is how complicated that question is, but you get what I'm saying. So how do you manage that part?
Yeah, I think as moms, inherently we feel like we're not doing enough.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to constantly remind ourselves that we are enough, number one, as women, as people, as humans. And I used to be like obsessed with always making sure my house was super clean and super organized. That's not realistic. Like, I would be like, that's annoying. Like, there's dishes in the sink and there's this thrown here and whatever. Like, you know what? It's going to be there tomorrow. Why am I stressing myself out? Because let me tell you, it's no one else stressing me out about it. My husband's like, just leave it. Who cares? You're tired. You've been out all day. Yeah. It's going to be there tomorrow. So I think about it like, why do I do that to myself?
That pressure, right?
Why do I have that pressure? And I think it's because growing up as girls, as women, we're expected to know how to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's not fair and it's not right. And I think it's something a lot of women don't talk about enough, right? And we chatted about this a little bit before, but like being super mom, being super woman, like, is that a flex? I don't know. Is it? What does it mean? How often do you hearing someone saying, oh, that guy's super dad? Not as often. I don't hear it as often. And not saying that dads aren't amazing. Dads are just as important and they're great. But, like, women now are running businesses. Women now are successful, are top producers, have their own offices, have their own branches like you. And I feel like we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves, but I feel like women are also expected to get married, have kids. If you don't want to have kids, totally okay, but a lot of women get judged for that, which isn't right. It's everyone's choice whether or not they want to have children. And I am, I'll go off base a little bit here. I am noticing a lot more women not having kids. And I love asking them, like, do you feel like this constant tug of war between, like, I'm not enough because I'm not a mother, or are you okay with, like, I don't care. I just don't want to have kids, which is totally fine, because you do lose yourself a little bit, a lot of it, especially when you're just learning how to become a mother.
Oh my goodness.
And we don't talk about that because I love my son. I love being his mother. Did I love being a mother every single day since I've been another? No. But no one wants to say that. We're scared. We're scared of being judged.
You know what it is? I told my sister the other day, my sister's a psychologist, and she's so controversial. But I told her, I love being a mom and I hate like maternity, like being maternal. I don't have it in me. Like I'm not somebody that natural, like I do it and I love doing it for my kids, but I'm not someone that's just like, you know how some moms are really good moms?
Yeah, yeah.
Like one of my good friends,
But
she's
what's a
such
good
an amazing
mom?
mom.
But what's a good mom?
Like in terms of like social measurements, right? Like
Sure.
she loves cooking, she
Yeah,
loves
yeah,
doing
yeah.
the laundry.
Sure, and that's great.
She
Yeah,
does
for
all
her.
that stuff. I don't.
Yeah, no.
I hate it.
It's hard.
I hate it. I honestly hate it.
But those are things we associate with being a
Yes.
mom.
Yes.
You know, and that, not to cut you off, but that goes back into like the unrealistic expectations that have been set for moms is hard. And I feel like if you are constantly trying to be that super mom, you're never going to be satisfied with yourself, you know? So I hate doing laundry. I hate cleaning. I only like cooking if I'm not in a rush, which is absolutely never. So it always resorts to like a really quick meal that like we're making. But lately we've been so busy. Honestly, we've been eating out so much, or like we ate at my mom's yesterday, which we love. But you know, I feel like especially growing up as an Arab woman, like that was really important. You had to cook, you had to clean, you had to take care of the household. Again, great things, and not easy things to do. My mom was a stay-at-home mom of 5 kids. She had 5 kids by the time she was 28. You can't snooze at something like that. Coming from Palestine at the age of 19, not speaking any English, and having no family here other than my dad, my grandpa, and some of his family members. And I think about that. I'm like, how scared was she?
Yeah.
When she came to a different country at 19, when I think about 19, I'm like, that's 5 years now where my son will be in 5 years, he'll be 19. And would I be able to send him to go live in another country? That's scary. But the things that they did, and she stayed home with all of us, and not an easy job, you know, to raise 5 kids. We had a good upbringing. We went to private schools. We all went to colleges. You know, they provided very well. And I think, you know, now, nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. It is a very, very tough job. But a lot of women now are in the workforce, you know, and they're balancing all of that and work. And I think it's to the point where women are burnt out. And they're saying, hey, like, why do we have to do all this and do that? You know, and I think we just set unrealistic expectations. Like, who cares? If my son eats Chick-fil-A today, I'm not a bad mother. I used to feel bad, like when I didn't make him food at home. I don't know if that's a cultural thing. Did you ever feel that way?
I think it's a little bit of that, the guilt, because we have, you know, it's, as I'm hearing you speak, like I am your mom. I came here at the HNYT.
Right.
And my path looks a little different.
And you didn't speak English, did you?
No, my English was not perfect. I have a cousin of mine to thank for that. She really pushed me. I took a different path than your mom, right? Like I was always in the workforce. That was a huge drive for me to find my independence. I think culturally, like as a Hispanic Arab, I think we have a lot of things in common, especially with the role assignments, right? And what a woman's supposed to do versus what a man's supposed to do. But we're definitely living through a very unique time, right? Because I feel like as much as we love, I'll tell you this, I love the woman I am. I love being independent. Sure. I love being, you know, I'm going to say this in Spanish, like facturo, right? Like I make my money. And I'm a big, I walk into the rooms big, and I love feeling that. And I'm very proud of it.
You should be.
But when I go home, I shrink into like, I go from a lioness to like a little kitten, because I'm with my husband, and my husband makes me feel so safe.
Yes.
And I feel like I can just be like a little girl throwing a tantrum. And I didn't always embrace that in my marriage. I learned to embrace it in the last few years.
Yes.
That was part of like my growth in my relationship. And I love it. And I would want every woman to lean in on that, because I think that naturally we still seek that, you know, as a female.
Yeah.
And even though I want, like I have a daughter and I want my daughter to be independent, I'm always thinking like, I just don't lose that softness in you, okay? Like I want you to be everything you want to be, but I also want you to learn to let someone else take care of you,
That's hard.
whomever it may be. Even if it's a friend, if it's your mom, your dad. She has dad and she has stepdad that she leans on both of them. I'm like, I want you to be brave and be loud and be out there, but I don't want you to forget to let yourself take care of you. And I feel like that is something that she's going to be able to experience that we didn't, because we fought that fight.
Correct.
Right.
And we felt like we had to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for her and generations like her, because I feel like it's going to be better for these young ladies when they grow up, because they're going to have more of a guide of how to be everything they want to be, but still be able to have that space where they don't have to be anything.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for them. And I feel like women like yourself and myself, we're here to pave the way for them.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that we haven't figured it out all completely and we're still figuring it out, I think that we're doing a great job. I would say that this is something that I see in you and I love about you. And I think that, like I've told you before, I have a natural attraction to you. One, because you remind me of my daughter. You're beautiful and you look she looks so much like you, I think. And I also love to see that you're somebody that's very humble. But at the same time, you're so proud. And I love that. I love that, those two sides of you. You're such a hard worker. But I also see that person that's just like seeking that calmness and that space. And I admire that. And I hope that I continue to attract and the life keeps bringing women like you. Because believe it or not, just hearing you right now, I'm taking so much of what you're sharing, not only for me, but like for my daughter, because I'm still trying to figure out if I'm giving her all the tools and all the resources. I made her follow you, by the way. I was like, you gotta follow my friend Amal, because she's like, oh, tell me about her.
I would
she's
love
like,
to meet her. Yeah.
So thank you for showing up authentically, because I know it's not easy.
It's not easy.
And before we wrap this up, I want you to share a thought about your son. I want you, what would you want your son, when your son looks back at this season right now in your life, what would you want him to see?
Oh my God. A happy, healthy mom who figured out a way to find herself and still be the best mom that she could. And I think he views me as a great mom. And I ask him sometimes, like, do you think I'm a good mom? Are there things that I can do better that would make you happier? Like, he's like, yeah, stop interrupting me when I speak. And I love that he says that, because I think sometimes I get so excited or I get frustrated and I like jump in and I'm like, you know what? He's a young man right now and he needs to express himself.
He said boundaries, mom.
Yeah, no, and I'm a big boundaries person, right? So when he told me that, I like took a step back and I'm like, oh my God. But I love that he felt safe enough to say that to me. Yeah. So, I want him to just look back and see that. And I think every boy, every girl even, wants their mom to be happy, and they don't really know the struggles that we go through as moms, and we don't share them because we don't want them to have that burden, especially boys with their moms or girls with their dads. Oh, yeah. Boys with their moms, even like this morning I got dressed before I took him to school. He's like, where are you going?
You're like,
I'm like, well. Mommy is her own person. And, I was like, and I told him, he's like, that's cool. Like, it's cool, and like, he likes my stuff on Instagram, but he doesn't comment on it, or he doesn't like when he doesn't like when I post him. That's like a big thing for him. Like, stop posting me, like, that's weird, I'm not a baby. But funny enough, like, he's like, yeah, a few of my friends follow you, like the girls, they think you're really cool, and like, specifically they think, quote unquote, you're a baddie. Like, for him, that's super uncomfortable.
Yes. Oh my God, I had the same thing.
When he was texting me at school, he's like, my friend so and so, I don't want to say her name, like, she just thinks you're so cool, like, can you follow her back? And I was like, you know what, like, coming from a 14 or 15-year-old girl, to say that she admires me is such an honor. I don't know her, by the way. I've never met her. And I'm like, that's so, I didn't think of myself in that light. Like, as, oh my God, some of his friends look up to me. And they're like, I want to be.
His circle is looking at you too, right?
And I was like, I really need to, like, think about that for a
Here comes the
second.
pressure.
Yeah, here comes the pressure. But
No pressure,
it's
Mom.
been so nice. And I think now that he's getting older and he's a freshman in high school and he's really starting to understand all the things that I've done. And I would hope that he's proud of me. But I think, any boy growing up seeing that he has a happy, healthy mom that has gone through things to give him the best life possible, I think he's really grateful, even though, he will never admit it in public. So yeah, I think that's how I would want him to view me, and I hope he does. And as he gets older, I want him to find his own path, and I hope that I made things easier for him by being able to have that open dialogue and those conversations that maybe I didn't feel comfortable having with my parents. That's all any mom could really hope for. I'm sure you feel the same way about May.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
And I love seeing young girls really like have that confidence. I didn't have confidence when I was 13. I was so shy. I was so just reserved, just like, I just felt like I always had to prove myself. Like, you want to be Arab enough, you want to be American enough, you want to, be pretty, you want to be thin, you want to be all of these things.
Yeah, we had to be very thin.
We had to be thin.
Generation.
And now it's like, yeah, growing up in the 90s, are you kidding me?
You had to be very thin.
You had to be super thin. So like just feeling comfortable in your own skin physically and mentally is really important. And I have days that I feel great and I have days that I don't feel great. And that's okay. It's not going to be great every day, and it's just a constant growth.
But it feels beautiful when you see your kids and you see them having, self-esteem, like what you just mentioned, right? Like I look at my kid and I'm like,
I'm so proud of him.
yeah, I'm like, I wish I would
oh my God, I wish. Or my nieces, the things that they say, like I have a niece that's in plays and she sings and she's beautiful and she's talented. And I'm like, there's no way at 14 or 15, I could have stood on a stage and played Lydia from Beetlejuice and sing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, she's so talented, and sing at the top of my lungs and be confident and know that I sound good. Yeah. And I think the transition and the things that we have done have made them more confident and comfortable. And that's a win.
That is a win.
That's a win for every mom.
Great. Yes. We're doing something well.
We are.
I wanted you to share just one more thought,
Sure.
and then I'm going to let you go. But talk to me about now the business side.
Sure.
Where do you see yourself going? Right now, are you a solo agent right now?
I am.
You're a solo agent.
Yeah.
So what does the future look like? Which, by the way, guys, if being a solo agent is what makes you happy, stay that way. If you don't want to, I think I found a lot of my freedom in growing a team.
Sure.
Because it fit my life.
Yeah.
And it's just what's worked out for me.
Sure.
And I love doing it. But where do you see yourself in the next few years in business?
I've gone back and forth about building a team.
Okay.
I did think about it. I talked to a couple of agents, some newer agents where I could help them hone their skills and they could help me. And, and I didn't find the right fit in terms of values, in terms of what I'm looking for. And this is not a blanket statement that goes over all new agents, because there's really some wonderful new agents out there. But I wanted someone who was really hungry. And a lot of them expected to get that overnight success.
Yeah.
And I said, no, you have to put in a lot of work. And to be a part of my team, I built this name. I built this brand. I built Amal Khalil, so I'm trying to add and grow. And so it didn't work out. So I decided just to stay a solo agent for a while. I'm happy with it right now, to be honest with you. I don't know what the future holds. I may find a great fit. And not necessarily because I want to scale back. I think it just gives more opportunity to serve more people and expand. As of now, I'm actually really happy with being a solo agent.
That's
and I'm
good.
comfortable and confident in it. And it does overextend me a little more, obviously, because I like to give all of my clients 150%. But a lot of people are also looking for that intimate relationship with their realtor in terms of like, no, I want you there. I want you there in that house with me. I want you in this inspection. I want you to be a part of it. So I think if I am going to grow a team, I definitely have to wait for the right person to come along.
Yes, no, for sure. I think as long as your life equilibrium
Yeah.
is where you need it to be,
Yeah, it is.
that's the most important thing.
For
And
sure.
that's something that I definitely stand behind. Whatever it is that you need, you're gonna feel.
Sure.
And as long as it's working for you, it's working for your family, it's working for your business, and you find fulfillment in what you're doing and the way you're extending yourself.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. And I love that you're sharing this, because sometimes, like, I've met with producers just like yourself, and they feel pressure to grow.
Yeah.
And I could say that I kind of felt a little bit of that when I decided to lean in on the team side. Thankfully, it worked out for me, and
Yeah.
it was what I needed. But I've also seen it happen a little too soon when someone's not ready.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be ready necessarily in business. You have to be ready in life, and to bring another, person that you're going to be responsible of. Kind of like, when you're a parent. It
Yes.
actually kind of feels the same way,
It
to
is,
be
yeah.
honest. So very happy for you, Emma.
Thank
I'm very
you.
happy that you made the drive.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Thank you for saying
Thank you for
yes,
having
because I
me.
know nowadays at our age, we're very comfortable saying no.
Yes, very much so.
So I feel very lucky that you said yes
Thank you
to
for
this.
having me.
And hopefully we'll do a round two, because I
Yes.
feel like we still have more to talk about.
Yeah, we could go all day.
I'm pretty sure we can. But thank you. And if there's any final thoughts.
No, honestly, this was great. And I always feel very comfortable talking to you. I feel like it's just we always pick up and just
Yeah.
like carry on the conversation. I mean, I was just telling these guys, we were just talking in the bathroom before we started here.
I
And it
know.
was like, okay, wait, we need to save some of this for the podcast. But it's always a pleasure. And I love the mompreneur idea. I feel like it's long overdue. And I feel like, when you had your mompreneur event, it was such an emotional, safe space. I don't think anyone expected it to get that emotional, but I loved
No,
it.
myself
I thought,
included.
Yes, I thought it was great, because we always feel like we have to be on.
Yeah.
So to have that time to just say, let me take a breath and share what I'm feeling, and to see an entire room of women feel that way and cry over a
all
complete
crying.
stranger, right?
Yes.
Because I didn't know everyone there. I knew some people, and just relate to those stories and those struggles. And I feel like we need that healthy outlet.
Yeah. Finding echo in each
Yes,
other, right?
absolutely.
Love it. Thank you so much,
Thank you
my
for
dear.
having me.
Thank you.